it just me, or is the fandom getting more and more fanatical about sharing its opinion on everything? And they're getting so fucking vocal that it seems like you have to have a very staunch and specific stance on absolutely every opinion out there. Just look around, there's so many arguments and debates going on right now about things that I thought we all just assumed were just widely held beliefs. So commonly held that they don't even need mentioning, and yet here they are up for debate and everybody's making a point. But why do we have to be like this all the time? Like, isn't the fandom supposed to be somewhere we go to socialize, relax, and, you know, be who we really want to be? Is it really somewhere that we wanted to go and have really pointed political debates in? And I mean, why are we always like this anyway? In our quest to forge ahead in our own little furry identities, we often want to exude the right aura to everyone, that we are moral, normal, and good, honest people. We want to be truly moral, truly nice, and known as a good little group, and for people to go, you know, for a bunch of animal-bothering, perverted, chronic masturbators, those guys are okay. See, when you really want to get across that kind of perception, it can be really easy to get paranoid and think that people are going to think ill of you if you don't say, like, oh, I hate this specific thing. For instance, if you think the public looks at us as if we are advocates of bestiality, then you're obviously going to want to set a very strong policy of no dog fucking, just to set yourself aside from all of that, completely separate and apart. The problem is, where do you stop when you start doing that? Suddenly you have to be anti-everything horrible, and you start influencing all of these horrible things onto your timeline and bringing up stuff, giving it exposure that you never really meant to, and, you know, you become just a slight little tiny bit radicalized. Some other things that has come up recently is a very sizable amount of support and acceptance of Murrsuits and Murrsuiters. This can be traced back to a very emotional video from Odin Wolf where he confronted his past and how it affects him in his present. And thankfully, the furry fandom actually came through on this one and supported him with, you know, moving forward in his chapter of life and accepting what he was. Well done, furries, you actually did something right. But since then, quite a few other people have been coming out in support of Murrsuits and Murrsuiting, and it's kind of changed from the whole point of we're accepting your past and the mistakes and choices you made throughout your life and how that affected you as a person, and now we're kind of changing it into this is what is normal, this is what we're all about. First of all, normal doesn't exist. Normal is just something that we base off of our own perceptions, ideologies, and upbringing. So, yeah, normal is just relevant to everybody's own everything. Personality, mind, the lot. So we're not even going to get into that debate. Secondly, look at this fandom. Is any of it normal? Do we have normal? Is it on the map anywhere? Fuck no. And thirdly, does anyone actually want to be normal in this fandom, for God's sake? I thought it was our weirdness that brought us together, being able to express all of that. What's the fucking focus on now suddenly normalizing everything? Seems to me like the issue with the Murrsuit and the support is actually one of kink shaming, and what a horrible, abhorrent practice that can be. And don't get me wrong, I've thrown a lot of shade at various kinks and Murrsuits, and yes, I will continue to do so because I find that funny. I also throw a fuckload of shade at things I actually like, so in my mind, I'm just being fair and equal to everyone. But kink shaming is a very harsh thing to deal with, especially when the kink is something that's a bit more niche and potentially more difficult to come to terms with within yourself, and not everybody shares it. Kink shaming in an area like that can lead to a lot of oppression, which is never healthy, and also it's going to stagnate your life and not let you move on with accepting yourself for who you really are. These people who like Murrsuits and Murrsuiting and all of that jazz should feel perfectly valid and accepted for liking what they like and coming to terms with that and wanting to be happy about that. No matter what creams their genes, it's all absolutely fine. But this fandom operates incredibly heavily on social media figureheads and points of authority. No, not the Linkin Park song. It can easily be said that those at the top of the Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram mountains have the most sway and power over what is accepted in this fandom. They are those points of authority, and if you really do want to delve into exactly how that worked, then check out my Cult of Popularity video, because I really went there with that one. So when someone with this much power and authority comes out in support of something, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of little basic furs who are just going to instantly change their opinion and fall in line because they want to be a part of something. Because they want to gain that social capital, shall we say, linking back to my aforementioned video, shameless plug, shameless plug. But when they are in that kind of position and they make a claim such as this, it almost feels like they're speaking for the entire fandom, because let's be honest, with a sizable following like that, it's a fair representation. And when you have someone who's such a prime example and such a notable figurehead of the entire fandom with a following as large as that, it's easy to think that whatever they say is what the fandom as a whole thinks. And that is very rarely the fucking case. In fact, it's very rare that the whole fandom thinks one singular thing at all. This whole thing could have been boiled down to the old, I don't care what people do in the bedroom as long as they keep the sex stuff in the bedroom, it's all fine kind of argument, really, couldn't it? I mean, if you're going to come out in support of Murrsuiters, then where do you stop? Where do you draw the line? You know, I support people who like to inflate their dicks and vor people with them. Does that really need saying? Like, I don't like that myself, but hey, I'm not going to fucking have a go at someone who does like that. That kind of thing is just common decency, right? That's how humans and furries are supposed to operate. Why does it need outright stating that, right, see you, I don't specifically hate you. Now that's out there, I can feel safe. Thing is, this kind of stuff does not need saying, and more importantly, we do not need to be promoting exclusively sexual things right next to all of the amazing content that we create. We pride ourselves on this being a fandom, not a fetish. So why do we keep having to force the fetish stuff into the fandom stuff? We are constantly worried about our public perception, so why are we always sabotaging it? It's okay to be accepting of something, it's okay to like something, but God, just don't ram it down your fucking throat, Jesus. In fact, that's a good advice for life all around, basically. Now, before I kick this little topic off, I will say that the problem with neo-Nazism and political extremists is hardly exclusive to our little fandom, although we do have our own unique take on it all. So this little debate has been going on for quite a while, but the most recent thing to spark it off truly would be the Eurofurence convention, including a NaziFurs fuck off sticker for your lanyard. This humorous little jab that was most likely meant to be a nice little sort of joke like, yeah, we don't like these fuckers, but also quite the indictment of that entire sect, quickly turned into a political debate when people pointed out, and rightfully so, that staunch political statements like that don't really have much of a place at a convention for fluffy fucking animals. And of course they're right, people go to a convention to escape the day-to-day stresses, to relax and meet friends. You know, they don't want to be worrying about statements like that when they're trying to, you know, fursuit or portray a character, or if they're trying to get fisted. And of course, they don't want to be labelled with such a staunch political statement just wandering about the place. Now, of course, the statement that the convention tried to convey is entirely justified and entirely correct. This tiny little group that we find within ourselves should not be tolerated or given the time of day and has absolutely no place in our community. It is, in fact, a stain upon our good names. But, I mean, let's be honest, hating them, that's pretty standard, right? It's not as if there was people on the fence at any point going, oh, well, maybe they're just a little bit misunderstood. Oh, but now I've seen that sticker, my mind is changed. Like, by and large, we all know full well that these people are cunts, correct? So why does it really need saying? Bringing attention to it in such a poignant and obvious way is just a little bit bizarre. It's like saying, cancer is shit. It's like, well, yeah. Obviously, like, I don't think there was anybody that was sitting there going, whoa, go cancer, was there, at any point. We all obviously know that that is a horrible, shitty thing that shouldn't exist. It's the same with Nazis, right? Like, I don't think there's many people, there are a few, but I don't think there's all that many people that are going to this convention thinking, you know what, they're okay, I like these kind of people. It's something that just quite frankly doesn't need saying, and also kind of feels like maybe someone threw an assumption at the Eurofurence crowd, and they were just like, well, let's bring out the nukes and really shoot that assumption down. Of course, another problem we have with the NaziFurs is the fucking name and title. Okay, first off, before we even get into it, the idea that someone who dresses and acts as an anthropomorphic animal and has their own fursuit and then also identifies as a fucking Nazi is so hilarious that it just must be a work of satire. I mean, if you actually managed to transport these so-called NaziFurs back into that time in World War II, do they honestly think they'd be fitting right in? Do they honestly think that their ideologies actually match up? They'd be top of the fucking hit list. It's like the rest of us deviants. And I know that you might say, oh, actually, it's neo-Nazis. It's like, yeah, but you still can't really use that term. It doesn't quite fit. Secondly, the word Nazi is basically a shortened version of National Socialism, which is mostly categorized by social ownership by the state. So does that really sound anything like these bigoted, homophobic, racist assholes? I don't think so. And while they might share some of the traits and views and opinions of the true evil force that was the Nazis, I don't really think they fall into the same category, and by giving them that title, we kind of give them a little bit more validation than they've ever really deserved. I feel like maybe we need a new word for them. Maybe we need something that truly encapsulates someone who is so homophobic, racist, xenophobic, and anti-Semitic. I mean, it needs to be short, punchy, and easily identifiable. Oh, I know. How about from now on, we call these people cunts? But anyway, I digress. I got a little bit carried away. The main point here is that what is actually the point of stating such a widely held political opinion? Because it's only going to draw scorn. It's only going to bring in the people who want to argue a point, or the shitlords who are just going to start drama regardless. Let's be honest, furries love stirring the pot and starting a fight. And sometimes posting something like that is exactly what you're giving them the opportunity to do. Quite honestly, I think we need to stop, take a step back, take a good look around, and remember why we really joined this thing. We all want to be part of something wonderful. We all want to be part of some place where we can be accepted and we can, be exactly who we've always wanted to be. We want to escape from the stresses of the vanilla world that we are forced to live in and find like-minded individuals where we can be comfortable with ourselves and each other. I think we need to take this focus away from being social engineers and trying to enact social change and actually enjoy ourselves a bit more. I'm not saying that we need to stop doing that kind of stuff, but we need to remember exactly what the purpose of this fandom is. This isn't like a revolutionary force. This is something we've come in to enjoy. We can police it if we need to, but it shouldn't be our only sole purpose. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have very busy, stressful lives, and we don't need our sources of relaxation and comfort to get just as stressed and politicized as everything else. So, in essence, if you could boil it down into one sentence, calm the fuck down and remember that we all just want to be cute, fluffy animals and have a good time. Okay?